KC9VKV, QSO with KI4FRJ. Now, here's a question, and you can hopefully answer it honestly. Have you ever, on your way home, say you drove for 3 hours, and you're 2 hours into a trip home, and suddenly realize that you forgot to do something and had to turn back and drive 200 miles back to fix it?
Yeah. And that's what separates the men from the boys. The boys come up with an excuse and this, that, and the other. Man just goes back and handles it. I had to go back, I don't know, it's probably 2 weeks ago from Knoxville to Chattanooga back to a site. It's actually Morristown to Chattanooga. I'd worked at Chattanooga, went to Morristown, worked. It was way up in the night. I don't know, it was probably 10:30 at night when I got done, and found out that when I was putting the labels on, that the fiber had got dislodged ever so slightly, and I was putting a little label tag on, man, and ended up pulling the fiber out and took the site off the air. And I had to go all the way back to Chattanooga to give a plug a push. But did, because, I mean, they knew who did it.
That's right. Roger, Roger. When you lose the ability to have plausible denial, then you have to accentuate the positive to correct the endeavor. As long as you have plausible denial in your favor, you could probably not have to react to clarify the situation, by having that much time to go back to correct it. But if you don't have plausible denial, you have to take care of it.
And when I got back, checked them, I seen that I'd got in too deep. But yeah, I mean, there's been a bunch of times, and every day, whenever you go to log out, it takes a half an hour to get out of the site. Well, you go ahead and leave, and then there's that half-hour drive of anxiety of whether you're actually going to get a go or have to turn and go back.
Now, are you're monitoring the activity of the repeater or the cell tower in your vehicle as you're driving away?
You can get in the network and do that. You can do that from the house, but my monitoring it would be when I log into the site, I get a list of what alarms are present, and then if I go to log out, if there's a different alarm, then I have to go to a person to try to get logged out. It won't do it automated, but during that automated part there or whatever, I can see all the alarms from all the technologies. When I'm there, I just plug into the cabinet and get the alarms.
Roger. So this cell tower situation, they automatically track errors and report them in a cum fashion. I mean, in other words, you go to one place and it has a cum error window there.
The cell site's got all the radio alarms itself, the alarms and the things that can happen on it, everything from VisWire to antenna down tilts, down tilt motors. I mean, on the antennas themselves, the mechanical motor that rolls the antenna that actually physically down turns the antenna or changes the physical shape of the antenna to achieve the down tilt. And on and on and on, temperatures and bit rate errors, and I mean, just a menagerie of alarms. But then there's all the cell site alarms from temperature, humidity, batteries, power supplies, rectifiers, generators. Whether you're on commercial power, when it drops over and you go back to generator power, there'll be an alarm for that. Generator gas low. I mean, there's smoke detectors went off, door open alarms. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of alarms that get piped in. KB4D.
This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor in QSO with KI4FRJ. Anybody have any traffic, wants to get in there, go ahead. We'll take a break for a minute.
I'll say good morning. Hello, everybody. Take RGJ and a G.
Well, good morning, Richard.
Morning, Richard.
This morning I'm here in Shelbyville, down here, almost all the way to Corbin here. Coming in and a little bit there before y'all start talking. I'm hearing you guys up there on that thing.
On yours?
No, I'm hitting it direct here. I'm here in the Shelbyville repeater mobile here, almost to Corbin.
Roger. Yeah, I think Billy and I started off on the 180 there, yours down in London, and then we kind of branched over. I think that's the way it went. Sometimes it all runs together. I have to play the tape back to figure out who's on first.
Check in on the net.
Roger that. I think Billy went south again today. Where are you going to, Bill?
Down to Bristol Motor Speedway. Got 79 miles left to go.
They get a lot of work done over there, don't they? Been over there a few times, ain't you?
Roger, if there was more people showed up at the races like there used to be, then there'd be more work over there.
I used to like going to them night races over there, man. That was something to see.
Billy, how many channels does the Bristol cell tower have? I mean, would that be the way I would ask it? I mean, how many folks could talk on their cell phones at the Bristol Speedway?
I don't know that number. Rev guys would probably know that number. Tens of thousands.
You mean tens of thousands of people could use their cell phones simultaneously?
Sure, well, the one unit that I'm going to is 5 cell sites located in one trailer looking straight down at the thing, and that's just a temporary cell site. Plus, they have the permanent sites that are there. The other cows that are on the other side of the speedway.
And these cell sites are what, within a mile of the speedway or less?
This one here was pushed with a dozer and drugged to the top of a mountain right beside the speedway. If you had a good BB gun, you could probably shoot a pellet over into the track. I don't know, you'd have to have an awful good air rifle, but, you know, I mean, it wouldn't take a real gun to shoot to the track. I mean, it's on a big precipice overlooking it. Then they have another one set up over in the parking lot by where all the campers set up at. There's another one set up over there, and like I said, there's 5, what would be considered 5 standard, you know, country cell sites or whatever located in the one that I'm going to today.
My. Let me review our communication situation. We are through the 050 to a link at 442.325, and this is Billy. Where's that link at?
that is him on this tower. It's in White Oak, 3,100 feet in Middlesboro, which is right in the bottom right corner of the state, right where the straight line goes, you know, straight across, and then it turns up. There's that corner right there. That's right where this repeater's located at, is right in that corner.
And so we're talking Tennessee there, Roger?
In the corner of Tennessee and Virginia and Kentucky, right there, you know, because Virginia tucks in, and, you know, it's right there in the tri-state region.
Roger. Now, I did poke fun at you on our last QSO because you were talking about turning left and right and all that stuff, and it was actually not quite that way. I mean, it was you were going to the right place, obviously, but I think you were maybe slightly in error of your directions on how to get there. But then you are traveling with 2 GPS units, so I guess you'll arrive at the correct place.
I think I'm pretty good with directions. I may have misspoke, but yeah, I like, you know, I mean, every day for the last 2 decades, I've went someplace I've never been before. Today, I happen to have been to this one before. But like I said, all over this country, every day I get up in the morning and go someplace I ain't never been.
Well, there's not a lot of people that can say that about their work situation, because most of the employed go to the same place on a daily basis. You know, every day of the week they go to the same place. So you're probably break the rule there and be going to a different place almost every day. But what I was saying about the directions was probably a better way to say it, as opposed to left and right, would be east and west, I think. I mean, east and west is east and west all the time. Left and right all depends on which way you're facing.
Yeah, Roger. KC9VKV coming over Clinch Mountain here at Bean Station, 1,959 feet.
Roger, Roger. Well, let's see here. What would you say? We were probably about 280 miles or so back to Louisville. Just a round number. You know, we're linking through a couple of repeaters, but just the capability of being able to communicate to a moving vehicle 280 miles. Would you say that's what it would be, Billy? Now I have 307 miles. 307 miles from my location to Bristol. I think we may have doubled a little bit there. You were pretty broken on that last transmission. Try again. Roger, Roger. This is KC9VKV and QSO with KI4FRJ, and anybody would have any traffic, need to make a call, whatever, we'll take a standby.
I think he said something about Clinch Mountain, didn't he?
I think that's what he said. He was pretty broken.
I'll probably switch over to Mount Mitchell here in a few. So he's getting close to that, ain't he?
Well, yeah, I don't know how close he is to Bristol, but Bristol's 307, Mount Mitchell is 405. I'm not sure I got conditions for Mount Mitchell this morning.
KB4BT BL-91-5.
Well, I can always tell when I work your station what's going on. You know, when I get a peg out from London, I know that Mount Mitchell can't be far behind.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, if the conditions was any good this morning.
Well, not outstanding. I would think I was getting about 6 lights back from yours.
Morning, Jim.
Good morning, JR. How's it going, sir?
Good, good. I was sitting here listening. Who you talk to? Because I first thought it was Lou, but then I'm not sure.
I'm talking to Billy, KI4FRJ. Billy is a cell site technician, and he's on his way to Bristol, Tennessee, and he's right now probably about 280 some odd miles downriver, and he's headed for Bristol, which is about 307 miles from this location.
Morning, Billy. W3JRB. They got a repeater down there around Williamstown. This one's going into. You don't think you can get that one?
We're going through this Shelbyville to Williamsburg to a repeater of 442325 in White Oak.
Yeah, I forgot about Williamsburg. If Ralphie's is linked up there, probably goes there too.
Well, I mean, that's where we, well, gosh, I think we're going to Shelbyville to that one, and then to link to White Oak. Would you think, or how would that go?
Yeah, it's linked up to White Oak and everything. If the link's up and everything, and then Ralph's got one over in West Virginia also there, over on another big hill over there. If they're linked up, that's the thing. Ralphie was having some problems out of White Oak there, so I don't know if it's still online or not there. K4G.
Ben, you know, I've got a mental block towards Williamsburg. I cannot remember that. I just can't retain that. Gotta do that.
Are you unaware of where it's at, or you just forget it's hooked up?
I forget the name. JR. You know, sometimes you have mental blocks. Now, you probably have never had a mental block about your own name. I haven't, but I have had mental blocks about other folks' names.
Jim, you wouldn't make a down payment on what I don't know. Oh.
I'll have you know, JR, that our piece that we did on the rum swizzle spy ring has had probably more hits than any of the QSO'S vlogs that I put up there, and right now they're ranked about 70 some odd. Which, incidentally, if anybody's listening who might be curious, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will bring up our 70 some odd QSO vlogs, and right at the top is one that has all of them in there. It's like a list that has all of them, and if you go to that, then open it up, right at the top would be Art Bell, and then below that in sequence would be our different QSO-VLOGS. And we cover all different kinds of subjects of interest there for amateur radio.
I like that one y'all did, that guy getting in over 300-something miles away there on VHF on the 180, man. That was something else. I didn't get to hear that one, but I went back and watched that video. That was pretty interesting. I'm like you, he's a little over, he's well over 300 miles away, wouldn't he?
Wait, he went right over my head, you know. I thought I was doing good at 150 miles. This guy checks in from 150 miles further away. So I said, wow. But now, see, that's what happens, Richard, when you don't, aren't on your own repeater.
Where I got both of these jobs now, it keeps me busy now. I get on there about every night, though, at midnight now, for a little while on the ride home, and then a little while on the way to and fro there, about 3 o'clock-ish still, but, yeah, missing out now.
Well, you got your nose to the grindstone there trying to make those centavos. And F.Y.I, we're talking to Richard, who is the operator and owner of the 147-180 PL 74.4 London, Kentucky repeater. Also in QSO with BILLY-KI4FRJ, who is somewhere headed towards Bristol, and JR. And let's see, JR, what is your call? I've got that W. Oh, well, what is their call there, JR? W3JRB.
K4G, JG. Have a good day, y'all.
You cutting out?
Yeah, we'll be back in here. I gotta make a quick stop here and pick up some stuff.
Roger, Roger. Well, we'll catch you there in a little bit.
I'm on your website right now on YouTube. Or not your website, I'm on YouTube. So that's what your bicycle looks like. I've always been curious.
Roger. There were a lot of folks curious about my bicycle mobile, so we did do a little piece on that. You can see exactly how we have our radio equipment operating on the bicycle. And operating very well. It's mainly because of this great antenna we've got. This has got 3 load coils. It's about 4 foot tall. By the time it's mounted on the handlebars, the tip is only 7.5 feet off the ground. There's a lot of folks, as I pass them by, say, "Did you catch anything?" I'd say, well, it's kind of difficult, but caught a little bit, and I'm referring to radio traffic. From the pedway, I can work 18 repeaters, so always interesting as I ride in the mornings, usually for a couple of hours, or 7 miles, or till the lady in the radio says low voltage.
I met you 100 years ago, you and your wife, and thumbing through some of these. What happened to all that hair you had? My gosh, I remember your hair was almost to your shoulders back in the 80s. What happened?
Well, I mean, even 8 months ago I had a ponytail, but, I was catching some traffic there about, well, you got to spiff up your act, you can't wear T-shirts and all this stuff. Well, I try to do the best I can, but I still do wear T-shirts. I did get my ponytail whacked off, and it come to find out that obviously the ponytail seemed to work the best. I mean, as far as you know, keeping your hair under control under less than ideal situations, about, you know, being on camera and all that stuff. And if you turn left or right, then you've got you know, the frizzies showing. Well, the ponytail solved all that, and I thought it kind of looked like Peter De Niro or some of them guys, you know.
KB4BTJBL91.5.
Peter De Niro is Robert De Niro's brother, I think. Wonder where Billy is. Billy. KF4FRJ, this is KC9VKV. Do you copy?
I'm just sitting in here listening to you guys talk. I'm crossing Lake Norris right now, out here north of Morristown.
Roger. And what highway are you on?
Approximately 10 miles north of the interstate.
Roger, Roger. And how close are you to your target there, Bristol?
Approximately 60 miles, I think. I went over to elevation on the GPS, and I could drive in with one hand and got the mic in the other. So I could tell that I'm at 1,178-foot elevation. And see, I just lost this repeater whenever I was right up against the side of that Clinch Mountain. You know, you go up one side and down the other side, and you're right up against it there for a minute, like a 2,000-foot curtain. But yeah, I'm away from the mountain now.
Roger, Roger. You were too close to the edge of the ledge, and got shot right over, or wound up working into the side of the mountain as opposed to up into the repeater. That happens. So you're not doing your normal 90 miles an hour?
I try not to do too much speeding. With the amount of driving I do, man, it would just be a matter of time before I wouldn't have a license to even work with.
Roger, Roger. I would see that where if you were to lose your license, it would be an occupational hazard for sure.
But I haven't ever got one and won't ever get one, but I try to keep it, keep it down.
Roger. Now tell me this. I think I understood at one time that the cell phone tower folks had dedicated vehicles that had all kinds of chart recorders and event recorders and signal strength, situations that they would just drive around the area and get different interreactions between cell phone towers and chart all this stuff down. And I was just curious why they wouldn't give you one of those vehicles to drive with all that equipment in there that you could assist them in finding out all that information, you know?
Well, because I'm not a drive tester. That's not what I do. That's not what I do. I do call testing, but I don't do drive testing like that. That's a different thing. And all the phones do it. Your phone has all that information in it and all that. That's how that your phone knows how to turn up, turn down to save on power, depending on your distance away from the tower that you're talking on and the frequency you're on and all that. There's a whole menagerie of information being transmitted back and forth from your phone to the network. But yeah, they do have vehicles that, and it's just a minivan that they put external antennas on and hook them up to 3 or 4 phones inside the vehicle, and one phone calls the other phone, one phone calls a landline, one phone calls another mobile line somewhere, and then they just drive around and they're hooked to a computer and it pulls the information off the phone, all the, signal strength readings from adjacent sites and stuff. But that's testing. That's once the network's done and been handed over to AT&T, and then that's where they make their decisions for the down tilts and the power levels on the radios. You know what I mean? And that's where they decide how to, the angles, the down tilts, the power levels, and all that's determined to be able to maximize their network efficiency.
And this is KC9VKV in QSO with KI4FRJ and JR W3JRB. And we're going to take a break here just in case anybody else needs to use the frequency. We'll be taking a standby. And nothing heard. This is KC9VKV. Billy, I wanted to ask you about those antennas. Now, you're talking about down tilt. Are you talking about a motor-driven entity on the antenna that actually pitches the element towards the ground angle? Or is this an electronic control that is just a matter of the antenna being shielded or something, or does it physically move?
Physically moves. There's motors on the antennas that physically move them, and they can also do that. Can also do that with a phased array, but that's not the way that they do it. But no, there's actually a motor on the. We got a GPS screaming in my ear in the background here, so I don't know if it's because I'm making a turn here, but it's trying to get it possible. Wherever in the world that they have internet from, if you can get into the network and get to the cell site remotely, you can adjust the antennas and not even be there.
Roger, Roger. So, and then the question is, how well are the antennas protected from the elements as far as freezing up? And here these motors, do the motors change often, or are they set once and forget?
Usually set and kind of left where they're at, you know what I mean? Unless there's a change to the network or they see a need be. They'll run for quite some time, and then maybe they'll make a little adjustment here or there. But no, they're made to be out. They live outdoors, and they know it. They're meant to be in all weather, all conditions. I mean, they're a commercial rated product. I mean, if they didn't, every time you went past the cell site, you'd see somebody climbing it.
Well, yeah, but since it's motor control, you could probably manipulate it from inside the self tower building, couldn't you?
Yeah, Rob, but it'd be easier to not even go to the building and just do it over the internet. You know what I mean? They're all based out of whatever controls the down tilt. Even if you went there, you would still connect to internet out of the equation. You'd still be on the same GUI interface and everything doing the same thing. So they're
This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor. Billy, your transmission is broken now. Are there hilltops in your future, or what's the situation here? You're going to be climbing some, or like I say, you were broken that last transmission pretty bad. Pretty broken. Do you think the conditions are going to improve in the near future? Roger, Roger. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor and QSO with KI4FRJ. And FYI, we will probably be posting this QSO vlog on YouTube for in the morning there. And so if anybody might be interested, if they go to YouTube in the morning and do a call letter search, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you right to the QSO-VLOGs, and there's one right at the top that has all 70 or so of the QSO-VLOGs, and they're all to do with amateur radio and different aspects of amateur radio. And Billy of late has been playing a very good part. We've been tracking him and using various repeaters, the ALLOT repeater for one, and the Cross Mountain repeater, and those are very interesting. We did a QSO down around Nashville through the Gallatin repeater. So we are just documenting repeater coverages and the capabilities of various repeaters. And I think somebody should do that. And we are direct recording. There's no acoustic recording of these QSOs. They're all direct from the receiver output. So the discoloration is at a minimum. There's no noise, room noise and all that stuff. It's just as pristine a recording of the repeater audio as possible.